Hey guys, it's Goosebumps Completionist. A while ago I made a video about the top 15 stories I want to see adapted in the new Goosebumps TV show. And I said in that video, eventually I'll get around to making a top 15 remake episodes I want to see done that the classic series did, and I want to see these same stories adapted in the new show. For those of you that don't know about the classic TV show, it ran 74 episodes. But if you condense the 2-parters and the 3-parters down, it equals about 56 episodes. So I picked 15 out of 56. That's a little over 25% of the entire classic series episodes or stories they went into, which is a pretty good stance. And I want to make this point clear as day. If I didn't pick an episode that you may have loved or whatever, it's not because I hated it or don't want to see it remade. It's just that I'd rather see these personally, because this is my list. And before we get into my list, I want you to put down the 15 remakes from the classic series that you want to see remade in the new Sony Goosebumps TV show. So I went off 3 different criteria on my list. It's a mixture. The first criteria was I loved the episode in the original show, and I want to see what Sony can do with the story. Point in case proven. 2, I liked the episode, but the old show changed bits of it from the book that I think the book did superior, and I want to see the book adapted over what the show did. The Fox Kids show, obviously. And then the third criteria was the episode to me kind of stunk. It didn't do too well for me, and I just want to see it remade because it's a good story and they can definitely reinvigorate the story and make it better and not leave it on what the old show left it on. So pick 15 episodes, and I'm just going to get the obvious one knocked out the way. I want to see The Haunted Mask. I know I talk about this book and episode quite often. It is my favorite book. I think for a lot of us, it was probably the gateway book into Goosebumps. It was probably the gateway episode that got us into Goosebumps originally back in the 90s or maybe early 2000s and reruns. You know, this was a lot of people's first introduction to Goosebumps, and this is what got me hooked on this on the series. I want to see how they choose Carly Beth. I want to see the actress, go through Haunted Mask 2, Screams of the Haunted Mask. I want to see a good actress. I'm hoping Chuck and Steve. You have to cast a good Steve. Chuck is pretty much involved. Not so much in the first book, but a little bit more in the second book. Want to see that. Cast him good. I think the episode pretty much did the book justice. I think the book is just fine to adapt. This is just my guilty pleasure. I just want to see this remade. So yeah, that's my first pick, Haunted Mask. Number 2, I really enjoyed this episode when I was a kid. It's a 2-parter. It was a special with R.L. Stine. I want to see how they do the castle different. I want to see how they dress up the Lord High Executioner differently. I'm just curious because then they can do the sequel, Give Yourself Goosebumps book, Return to Terror Tower. Obviously, I haven't said the name yet of this book, but I want to see A Night in Terror Tower remade. I'm just curious to see what Sony's direction would be in the creativity. I just watched Night in Terror Tower the other day. The graphics in it looks like VHS quality, and it's so nostalgic. And the more you watch it, the more bland the tower sometimes becomes. So I just want to see something different. Like put some decorations around the tower that you don't notice every time you watch it unless you rewatch it, and then you get to notice little different things here and there. Really huge potential with this episode. So yeah, I would love to see that one remade. Number 3, body horror. I think the body horror in the original show was good for what it did, But I think they can definitely take this story a step beyond, given where we are now with technology and graphics and all that. I think they can push the bar a little bit further on kids' television. And that's stay out of the basement. Yeah, just, you don't have to go overboard with the body horror and the graphicness of like the blood and bleeding over the sink and stuff. But what creeped me out the most about the classic series was the worm bed. They have to recreate that for me. I think that would be one of the creepiest things for people to see, especially if these newer generation kids have never seen the old show. Capture that essence that Fox episode did, and I think you'll be okay. But really would love to see what differences they would go with Stay Out of the Basement, primarily with the body horror. That's what I wanted to see remade. All right. Number 4. Now, this episode creeped me out when I was younger. So bad. Dealing with the ghost teacher petrified me. The piano studio creeped me out. Dr. Shriek, the guy who made the robots. Piano Lessons Can Be Murder. And the reason why I have Piano Lessons Can Be Murder on my list is not because I love the episode. I just want to see it adapted. I want to see the book's ending in this new show. I think the book's ending is way more creepier than what we got in the show. The show, it's a comedic ending, and the ghost teacher is, making him play piano till his hands fall off. But in the book, it's completely different, and it's way more bizarre, and makes you kind of sweat a little. What happens to Toggle? I think that's his name, Toggle. Just adapt that ending into the book. Make a creepy ghost woman, even though the ghost woman wasn't really around in the book. But I think that for television, you need something there to keep kids scared throughout the whole time. Because if you just leave it like a slow burn, it's not going to do well. Maybe incorporate that teacher element that the old show had as well. Who knows what they'll go with the teacher, but definitely use the book's ending involving Toggle, though. That's what I want to see changed and different. So, all right, that's my number 4. Piano Lessons Can Be Murder. Number 5. This one is probably one of the highlights of the body horror from the original show, and that is The Girl Who Cried Monster. The librarian was absolutely disgusting and still gives me nightmares today. That is one of my all-time favorite episodes, and a lot of people's all-time favorite episode. It's up there in their top 10, probably top 15. I don't know about top 10, but definitely top 15. I want to see Sony's take on the librarian, and I think the book would be fine to adapt. I think the TV show may have tweaked a couple of things, but that look of that monster in that original show was so good based off what they had to work with. I can only imagine what Sony would do with this. So that's why I want to see The Girl Who Cried Monster adapted. Same reason for Stay Out of the Basement, basically. So yeah, my number 5, The Girl Who Cried Monster. Number 6. Now, this one, I just want to see a different interpretation of Spidey. So I want to see Say Cheese and Die. I liked Spidey in the old show. He gave me the heebie-jeebies. It really messed me up, especially with that ending. But I just want to see a longer Say Cheese and Die. I felt like the original episode was fantastic, but I felt like it was too short. I felt like it was kind of burned through and just really rushed. And that was like one of my biggest drawbacks with the episode, but it was still good. I want to see a Say Cheese and Die that is organically laid out for however long it needs to take. If it needs to take exactly 35 minutes, let it run that 35 minutes. Let it tell its story. If it needs to run 40 minutes, let it run 40 minutes. This one would be a really good remake to do. At least in my opinion. Spidey's creepy. So, yeah. Number 6, Say Cheese and Die. Number 7, now, some of you might not even have guessed this was on my list. But I loved this Fox Kids episode. It was called The Haunted House Game. One of my all-time favorite episodes. I've never talked about it on the channel, but I love the haunted house game. I loved what the episode did. I love that the episode made the kids a part of the board game. I love the differences from the short story in Tales to Give You Goosebumps. Made the, I wouldn't say it was equally good. I think it was a little bit, it was a lesser product, but it was still fantastic. Now I want to see the haunted house game remade with the book's plot. And it's truthfully speaking, the book's plot is creepier than the episode. And the episode had some pretty jarring scenes with the fisherman and the guy with his finger falling off. Really disturbing stuff. Especially the guys at the end with the top hats. Ugh. And the little girl that stares into the camera, into your soul, smiling at you. But remake haunted house game with the book's plot. I just want to see what that would turn out to be. So, yeah, haunted house game. What was that? Number 7? All right, number 8. This episode needs to be remade badly. The original one is just awful. It is absolutely awful. Even though they made a video game based on it, they had Adam West make a cameo in the thing. It still did not do this thing any good. They need to remake Attack of the Mutant. The problem with the original episode was that the parents were too over the top, for starters. The parents were just overacted badly. The mutant was overacted badly. The pacing in the episode, it was made into a 2-parter, and there was about 10 to 12 minutes of unneeded walking around a lair. Redo this thing. Just tell it like it needs to be told. Don't make the parents over the top. Please. That'll be horrible. But I just want to see Attack of the Mutant get one more try. If it's bad again, we know that Attack of the Mutant is just not good for TV. That's all I have to say. But Attack of the Mutant does need to get remade. Number 8. This episode, I've wanted to see remade for a while. I just did not like it in the original show. I like the book better. The book is better, especially with the ending. And I guess they made them siblings in the TV episode to make it kind of simpler to follow. But I want to see Vampire Breath remade. I want to see Count Nightwing's castle done up good. I want to see a creepy vampire castle. I want to see a bunch of caskets and bony vampires. That could be some visual horror. There could be some suspense with Gwendolyn. Just remake it. Follow the book and put a little extra pizzazz in the decoration. You'll have people hooked while watching. So, yeah, remake Vampire Breath. Where are we at? Are we at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? All right, all right, so we're at number 10. All right, so we've gone through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Sorry. We've gone through 9 already. All right, so 10. This one was one of my all-time favorite episodes from the original show. And there's something missing in the original episode, like I've said in the past. But I kind of deduct points on it. They need more of these neighborhood kids. They need the town theater scenes. They need the book's ending. Maybe mixed with the old TV show ending. Have like a climax in the house and outside near the big tree. Welcome to Dead House. They could really do something good with these today's effects. They can have some skin falling off the head. They can have some hair missing patches with these people that have been in Dark Falls. I want to see Welcome to Dead House redone. All right. So number 11, The Werewolf of Fever Swamp. What else can I say? I love this classic episode. I think it's a perfect episode. The book is fine to adapt. Some people actually legitimately do not like the original show's ending that they did. I didn't mind it. The book's ending's fine. But the swamp hermit is creepy. If you get a good swamp hermit, put your staple on it. I want to see a good werewolf design. I want to see what the werewolves could look like, because if you nail this episode, all the other ones after it will be fine as well. So, yeah, Werewolf Fever Swamp. Great story to tell. Number 12. This one was a pleasant surprise when I first watched it. I was blown away by how good it was and how nobody was ever talking about it. It's one of the best body horror episodes, I think, in the original show's history. I think it's hands down the best one. Cry of the Cat. Now, I want to see how they're going to make Rip look in the new show. Because if Rip looked that scary in the old show, imagine what he's going to look like now. And plus, the mom in the basement. Oh my lord. That would be scary. Scary body horror. I don't know if they're going to do CGI effects. I hope they do practical makeup effects for some scenes. I think it's necessary. If they can do this episode, you know, I'm not saying do the whole movie shoot plot like they did in the... They changed the plot from, like, a play to a movie shoot. You can center this around a play if you want. Or if you want to adopt the old, you know, do a throwback to the old show. Whatever's fine. Just make those effects and kind of keep the same premise going. You know, it's really creepy. A cat with like 9 lives sucks the life out of you. Oh, that bugs me. Cry at the Cat. Number 13. Now this one is probably a given for a lot of people who want to see this remade, but I want to see this remade because I actually think that the way they laid out the amusement park was kind of sad in the original episodes. There's no roller coasters, there's no people screaming or anything. I get it, it's a deserted park, but it doesn't even look like an amusement park. It kind of looks like a bunch of woods with like a tent set up here and there. It doesn't really look and feel like a real amusement park. Like, I'm looking for like some ornate sidewalks, you know, some, you know, dizzle dazzle lights flickering everywhere. One Day at Horrorland. I like the effects. I like the makeup effects and the costumes they did in the original show. Kind of adapt that. You know, you don't have to do CGI monsters, but keep the old show. Part 1 had all the steam, and then Part 2 kind of felt like a completely different entity than Part 1. Tell a one fell swoop story. If it needs 45 minutes, if it needs 50 minutes, tell it in that amount of time, and do it good. And really spend time on the scenery. That's my main problem. I just think it just needs to be a little better. Because One Day at Horrorland is usually on my top 10 favorite episodes, but it's always my lowest. It's always my number 10. Because I just didn't enjoy the feeling of the amusement park. But yeah, One Day at Horrorland. Number 2. Number 2 is The Haunted Mask 2. I absolutely love Haunted Mask 2. It's my favorite OG62 book. It may very well still be my favorite Goosebumps book of all time. But the episode's ending, I don't like it all that much. I never really have, because I think the book's ending and the book's plot is scarier than the episode. In some ways, I like the episode more. And don't get me wrong, in some ways, I like the episode more. In some ways, I like the book more. And I think the book, I just want to see the book's layout in Haunted Mask 2. I want to see the scene where Steve's in his bed calling Carly Beth, scared out of his mind, and he can barely move. I want to see the creepy scene in the basement when the mask takes possession of the suit. Oh, it bugs me every time. It gets to me. It gets to me so hard. They need to make that in this new series, and capture that. But yeah, number 14, Haunted Mask 2. And then number 15. This is probably my most highly demanded remake because I do not think the original was scary whatsoever on the Fox Kids show. Shocker on Shock Street needs a remake badly. For me, I want to see Shocker on Shock Street. I want to see the giant praying mantis. I want to see the Shock Street Studios should be cooler than it looked in the old show. It looked like a ghost town like a typical set town. They just slapped a sign on, and cheap effects with fire and stuff. They need to spend some time on Shocker on Shock Street, because as far as book wise, it's definitely in my top 5 favorite original 62. Like Haunted Mask 2, Ghost Camp, Shocker on Shock Street, I Live in Your Basement, and Haunted Mask 1 are pretty much my all-time favorite from OG 62. They need to they need to do Shocker on Shock Street good, and if they do it bad again, I might be upset, because Shocker on Shock Street is probably, if I ever get to the point where I do my all-time favorite books, when I'm done reviewing, or maybe I'll get to a certain point where I feel like I'm ready to make the list, I'm pretty sure Shocker on Shock Street will be on my top 10 all-time favorites. If they do this episode bad, that might make me mad and turn me off from the show, to be honest. And I'm being real. So, yeah, they need to remake Shocker on Shock Street. So, yeah, guys, that was my top 15 episodes from the original Goosebumps show that I want to see remade in the new show. Like I said earlier in the video, let me know what 15 episodes you want to see remade. What 56 episodes would you want to see remade? Leave a list down below, or comment on, maybe if you like my list, you can comment on it. If you didn't agree with an episode I put on there or whatever, let me know as well. I like talking with you guys. And I want to wish everyone a Happy New Year, and I'll see you next time.